all your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Who's Next in NXT. I'm your host, Virgil. I am the Book It CEO and future Book It World Champ. Yeah, man, it's a Tuesday night, guys. We are in the fast lane, the end game to a huge weekend of wrestling. That's right. Not only will we have NXT, the Great American Bash, but we also will have the Night of Champions with the King of the Ring finality last match. So I'm excited, y'all. A great weekend for wrestling. You guys don't want to miss any of it that we got going on. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss anything we have going on over here on the We Book It Network. Now, with that being said, ahead of NXT's first ever premium live event on the CW, the June 3rd, 23rd show delivered action and drama directed towards none other than, you guessed it, the Great American Bash. We had a promised double contract signing that became a chaotic mess of a night for general manager Robert Stone, who almost had to find a new opponent for Naraku instead of Tony D'Angelo. And then, of course, Keanu Carver ran into a surprise loss at the hands of EK Prosper. The Culling faced a pair of losses before Nico Vance turned against Sean Spears. And then, of course, we are here to talk all about what happened on NXT. So let's get right to it. This was supposed to be the NXT debut of Rourke when he went up against Aaron Rourke went up against Tristan Angels. Aaron Rourke is the current world champion of Evolve. And so basically he was supposed to have his debut highlighting his talent on a larger stage, but much of the match was focused on Tristan Angels for the most part. He was dominant except for when Shiloh Hill got involved. And it was clear down the stretch that Rourke would have lost if not for the interference. The whole flow of the match struggled because of this dynamic and left both looking less ready for top-level competition. I do like that they are starting to move some of the Evolve guys and give them some time. Oh, we got somebody watching with us comment. Fernanda Alice. Hey, how's it going? Appreciate you for tuning in to another episode of Who's Next in NXT. Yeah, so Rourke has obvious athletic talent and could use a larger spotlight in the future, but it's not going to be surprising if he ends up going back down to Evolve and working some more on his character. I don't think he's ready for the bright lights of NXT just yet. Angels has a match with Hill up next, which should be solid, though it does not come off of a premium live event worthy contest as of right now. This week on NXT, it's fun to note that Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett were on commentary due to Corey Graves, I think, being overseas with everybody else. So we know we are not getting Wade Barrett on commentary for Night of Champions, I don't believe. Next up, we get Saquon Sugars and Dion Lennox that come face to face. So if there was ever a doubt that Saquon Sugars has it, this promo tonight proved it. He was on fire throughout this segment with Dion Lennox. However, Lennox also deserves serious credit for his confidence on the microphone, standing up to Sugars and delivering on his own. This was the best sell of this feud so far by a wide margin and made this match feel bigger than it has any right to be. This will be a massive opportunity for both men to show themselves as more than just members or former members of Dark State. Sugars especially has so much hype behind him that the good performance could send him straight to the top of the card. He could be looking at potentially being added into the mix for that NXT championship. Both of these men deliver strong promos. which is not something that is typical at on NXT shows. Like I said, as great as Shawn Michaels is with booking these shows and with the wrestling, talking is not any of these guys' strong suit. You can tell they sorely miss somebody like a Dusty Rhodes who could write a promo for them and teach them how to cut it the right way. They need to get back, or need somebody that can do that for them. Next up, BirthRight versus Hank and Tank. So Hank and Tank are a fun, explosive tag team to watch that work at a pace that can absolutely translate to the main roster at any time, which SmackDown is in very much in need of tag teams right now. That's why you see the Creed brothers over there. Would not be surprised if Hank and Tank end up finding their way over there too. Their upside on Raw or SmackDown is low, likely more a jobber to the stars like Alpha Academy, but the tag team could use the depth. So Stacks and Connors have potentially higher upside, but are still figuring it out, especially Connors. As a whole, though, these teams click through a competitive contest only weighed down by the unnecessary use of Matt Matthews. The comedian was just there to set up a spot for Charlie Dempsey falling onto the crotch of Lexis King. It was an awkward juvenile scene that did not seem to be for any age group watching this show. At least it's likely that this will be the end of Matthew's involvement in NXT. We can only hope so, because it's not been funny, it's not been fun, and I think that's the type of stupid comedy stuff that Vince McMahon used to always book that I never really got. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up, we got Lola Vice and Kendall Graves signing their contract for their NXT Women's Championship match. This was anchored by Robert Stone. NXT promised a double contract signing and instead relegated the NXT Women's Championship contract signing to a quick backstage sit down. While the two sold the tension of their recent issues well, this presentation allowed the NXT Championship match to far outshine the women's match. This is despite the likely fact that Lola Vice and Kendall Gray will deliver the best match of the night and should be the main event of the Great American Bash by far. It shows just another example of NXT missing that the strength of the brand is actually the talented women's roster. Shawn Michaels has put together one of the best women's rosters out there. Even with their inability to sometimes cut a great promo, these guys still come out and put on the best matches of the night. I'm super excited for this match, Kendall Gray versus Lola Vice. I think it's going to be really, really good. Keanu Carver versus EK Prosper was the next match. So Keanu Carver is basically NXT's new Obafemi. He may not quite have the size, but he does have the power, the menace, while still finding the unmistakable charisma. That played out well against EK Prosper, who he threw around with relative ease throughout the contest. Prosper is certainly not ready to be NXT's new Javon Evans, but he certainly played the part in this contest, bouncing all around the ring for him. While Carver should be in the NXT Championship conversation, this loss does not hurt him, serving more to give him a clear story he was lacking while he waits. So Carver has a ton of confidence, but may need to find his own limits if he wants to make it all the way to the top. We'll have to see what happens with that. But Prosper defeated Carver by pinfall in this match. It was odd to see Carver lose a match, then act like he won backstage by laying out Prosper, since he has portrayed himself as a smart competitor so far. Because this was definitely one of those bullheaded type of things that a meat face would do, or something like that. So we'll see what happens. So next up, more women's wrestling. We got the women's speed tournament final, and it's Izzi Dame versus Arianna Grace. It was a minor surprise that Grace defeated Dame in this match, since NXT has tried to portray Dame as an NXT Women's Championship level competitor. The worst part, though, was a distraction set up from Spears, calling for a high five just before the finish made no sense. Once again, Spears, the supposed veteran, was portrayed as a dumb rookie just hoping to hang out more with his friends. Grace and Ren should deliver a solid sprint to the Great American Bash, even if they could use more time than just 5 minutes. Either woman could carry the women's speed championship forward, but Grace holding the gold with Lexis King, despite neither working fast, would be a clever gag for the BirthRight. So we'll see what happens with that. Next up, we got the Culling versus Dorian Van Du and Sean Legacy. So Sean Spears and Nico Vance lost to OTM. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, OTM on the June 2nd edition of NXT. So while this was a decent tag match, mainly carried by the obvious chemistry of the athletic Du and Legacy, the aftermath was the real story. Nico could not stand for Spears, costing the Culling 2 matches back to back and took out his mentor. It was time for the Culling to break up with Spears, even if it is hard to see any strong direction for the chairman going forward. Which honestly, dude is old. He's been past this prime. It's okay for Sean Spears to become a coach, to become a leader, somebody in the back or something like that. While Vic Joseph sold this as a potential mistake by Nico rather than a full turn, it was hard to go back from the choke slam through the announce table. So DVD and Legacy have an obvious path forward in the understaffed tag team division and should go after Vanity Project, given the team's history. So we'll see what happens with that. And then last but not least, Tony D'Angelo returns to confirm the NXT match with Naraku. After a night of chaos focused on an injury to Tony D'Angelo, the champion had his devious challenger stand ready to fight at the Great American Bash. This should be a solid match, at least, and would not be a surprise if Naraku picks up the win and it becomes the NXT champion at the Great American Bash. This should be a solid match, at least, and it would. And it, like I said, the Fireball should set him up to win the NXT title. The Great American Bash would be a perfect moment to debut any backup Naraku may have, perhaps even forming a new house of torture. If the group does arrive, Naraku winning the title would make the most sense and set the stage for D'Angelo's final run in NXT. The rest of this segment was fine, clearly indicating Mason Rourke is still after the NXT Championship and distracting him with the Vanity Project for the moment. Jackson Drake versus Rourke would have made sense on the Great American Bash card, but likely will be saved for next week's NXT. All in all, I'm going to go ahead and rate this show a solid B. Like I said, as far as a go-home show before the Great American Bash, you guys don't want to miss the Bash. It's going to be amazing, going to be a good night. And again, there's going to be surprises and things that happen. You know, Shawn Michaels got some stuff up his sleeve. He is now not only competing with Triple H and Tony Khan, but he's competing down under with The Undertaker, who is in Mexico, killing it as the booker there. So again, guys, we'll see what happens. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss anything we have going on over here at the We Book It Network. This is Who's Next to NXT. Tune into the Great American Bash this weekend on the CW, as well as Night of Champions, also on the ESPN app and on ESPN. Until next time, keep those book it pencils sharp. Keep on booking. Peace.